Hi everyone, my name is Jay Ayala. I work with Autodesk. I'm based out of Portland, Oregon, and it's my pleasure and my privilege to present. Where is the slide change? So I have a very different type of presentation here for you today. And I want to start off with building information modeling, right? You guys already get it. What can we do with it? And what I want to do is I want to show you a little bit about what Autodesk has been up to lately. I want to show you certain products based off of our portfolio, highlight them a little bit. I also want to teach you and let you know why that piece of technology is so compelling. And finally, I have a couple of examples of how the impact of that technology, what it's had in some of our customers. So first of all, building information modeling, Autodesk's solution here is Revit. So I want to tell you a little bit about the history of Revit. What you're looking at here, you might think that they're photographs. These are actually renderings that come from our building information modeling platform, Revit. What you may not know is that it has its origin in manufacturing space, right? So let me tell you a little bit about that. I have a couple of people that I want to introduce you to, Erwin Jungries and Leonid Reis. These two gentlemen, they used to work for Wildfire, programming pro engineer. Right? In 1997, they decided to split and create their own company. And in the year 2000, they released, is that going on, Brian? They released Revit, and they also renamed their company to coincide with the initial release of Revit. Some very disruptive technology in the industry. At the time, everybody was using AutoCAD and AutoCAD architecture at the time. But a couple months later, a couple of years later, in February of 2002, Autodesk announces its intention to acquire that technology. Fast forward a couple of years later, a little bit of development, a little bit of rebranding. Autodesk launches and rebrands Revit as Revit Architecture. In 2005, they follow it up with Revit Structure. And in 2006, they released, let me see if I can get this right, Autodesk AutoCAD Revit Series Systems Plus. How many of you remember that? It only happens to be the second longest product name in all of Autodesk history. Do you want to know what the longest one was? Autodesk AutoCAD Revit Series System Plus 2. That's the longest product name in all of Autodesk ever. It was eventually renamed to Revit MEP. Something very interesting happened a few years later. Revit becomes the worldwide standard for building information modeling. It's not the only solution out there, of course, but that's where it's moved to. So why is it so compelling? It's so compelling because of the philosophy of how it works. It's a parametric change modeling engine that the philosophy of how it works, you can revise in one place, and those changes propagate throughout the entire project. So revise instantly, Revit. That's where the name comes from. I'm not sure if everybody here knows that or not. The idea here is we can concentrate our time on the design and ultimately the construction documentation. It's a byproduct of the process. You have to invest a little time in labeling things and whatnot, but it's a byproduct. The majority of that falls out of the process of the design work. Revit Structure, why is that so compelling? It was the first time that a structural engineer could maintain his CAD drawings, his construction documents, and typically it's done separately with an analytical model. Where's our guys from S-Frame? They're here somewhere. So the idea here with Revit is we can combine one 3D model that produces both the analytical model and, of course, our construction documentation. And why is Revit MEP so compelling? Because when we have a Revit architecture accurate model as well as a Revit structure model, we can fill in all the details for the MEP systems where the design intent is supposed to be taken care of. There's also productivity tools in there to help that out as well. So I want to talk to you about Navisworks. What can we do with it? That's the question here, right? I want to tell you a little bit about Navisworks. In 1995, okay, think back, 1995, There was an alumni at the University of Cambridge, and he was going after his doctorate thesis. He theorized that we can take these large, heavy 3D models and its data, just like the music industry compressed those WAV files into MP3s, got the file sizes shrunk down. The importance of that is, at the time, 1995, who remembers, I do, the 486 DX4 100 processor, right? So the computing power, the processing power was a limitation. In 1997, after this doctoral thesis was produced at the University of Cambridge, a company called Lightworks out of the UK saw that algorithm that he wrote, and they bought it. And they wanted to do 3D collaboration with it. And eventually they produced a couple of products, Jetstream and Navisworks. And in 2007, Autodesk acquires Navisworks. Nice little chunk of change there, right? So why is Navisworks so compelling? We can take 3D models from pretty much any authored software, combine it and aggregate it in this particular technology. We can mark it up. We can do project sequencing, and the big deal here is we can do clash detection from any model, right? So I want to talk to you about fabrication a little bit as well. 1982, several gentlemen got together and created Micro Application Processes, a company that decided to do and spend time in this new AutoCAD workflow at the time, 1982. Very exciting stuff. And they wanted to do nothing but fabrication with real-world manufactured components, fittings and whatnot. And they did it for a really long time. They did it very well, and they developed one database for several different products that they offered. That's one of the reasons why in 2011, when Autodesk wanted a fabrication partner, they were chosen above and beyond all of the other competitive people. So Autodesk re-released it and rebranded it as Autodesk Fabrication. And what it is, it's a way to design and detail to a fabrication level of detail, and ultimately go out into the installation portion of this. Why is it so compelling? We live in a world where building information models are king. And instead of erasing and replacing, let's just embellish that. Embellish it in a way where we can get, from a Revit model, spool sheets, right? I think we had a presentation earlier today about that. So what is the impact of this technology? So I want to share with you a little bit about the Hill Group. And of course, I misspelled his name. I forgot the T in Robert. This is Robert Creer, president of the Hill Group. And when we were talking about this, he was making reference to this, the investment of the technology. And he says, we made that investment. And that investment paid back tenfold. So those are some pretty strong words about technology. I'm running short on time here, guys, but I want to talk to you a little bit about Autodesk BIM 360 Glue. In 2011, Autodesk spots this technology and purchases it from Horizontal Systems. They rebrand it as Autodesk BIM 360 Glue. It's a cloud-based service where we can take a Revit and building information models, push it out to the web service, which is what you're seeing here. This is just simply a web browser. But you can also take this information digitally and mobile out to the field and navigate out in the field. Why is it so compelling? It's collaboration, it's coordination, it's clash detection, all done over the cloud. It's done in real time. So as I'm making design changes, I'm checking to make sure I don't have any clashes. June 2012, Vela Systems has a product that they have out in the market, and Autodesk acquires it and rebrands it as Autodesk BIM 360 Field. It's another cloud-based solution. Why is it so compelling? We have the ability to do checklists. We have the ability to have inspectors. No oohs, no ahs, huh? Inspections and check out any kind of issues that are going on. We have the ability to deliver project documentation, not just our construction documents, but also any kind of specifications or installation manuals and whatnot. And it's one of the best ways that I have found in the market to do issues. And ultimately, it accelerates the communication. And I'll leave you with this technology impact from Skansk in Toronto, they compared their projects apples to apples before and after the acquisition of this technology. And this is the number that they realized that they were able to save. 9 hours per person per week that was invested in this technology. 9 hours per person per week. That's what they were saving before and after the acquisition of the technology. So I want to close this out. I'm about 24 seconds over here. I'm going to skip over Autodesk Point Layout. But that's another acquisition that just happened last year. Come talk to me if you want a little bit more information on that. So the theme here, building information modeling. What can we do with it? And this is what I'll leave you with. Thomas, I'll turn this back over to you. Thanks.